Good morning, and fear not. Listen, y'all say a little prayer for Declan this morning. He's up early. He's doing a little run. I think they've got like a 2 mile run or something for his ROTC class, which, by the way, he is loving at school. You know, ROTC is the only thing, I think, the only one that could find a way to make Declan Beard look forward to getting up early. He told me the other day, he said, Dad, he said, listen, he did more before 8 a.m. than most people did all day. Then he just grinned. You can see him. I know you can. But at least, listen, at least for him and for us as well, it's Friday. It's been a short week. But hopefully, it will be a long weekend. I should have got some at least rights or amens out of that, right? But at least I ought to get some amens out of y'all anyway. But listen, our fear not this morning, it comes from Luke chapter 1, verse 13. Listen to this. But the angel said to him, don't be afraid, Zechariah, because your prayer has been heard. Your wife Elizabeth will bear a son, and you will name him John. Listen, Zechariah is a priest in the temple, and he's kind of been looked down on by the other priest because his wife didn't have a child. You see, back in this day, you were considered blessed by God if you had children. But if not, then God was judging you for some sin in your life. Zechariah was a priest. He was the head of the household. And as the head of the household, a lot of the other priests most likely held that sin over his head. And then there's Elizabeth. You know, every time she walked down the street, there was somebody who said, wonder what she's hiding. Or every time somebody had a reveal party, you know, she stood in the back, or she told Zechariah she just had to find a reason not to go. And on top of this, listen, both of them, Zechariah and Elizabeth both, are past childbearing years. Elizabeth is about 60 years old when she has John, so she's 59, 60, 61 at this time. And Zechariah is 70-ish, at least 10 years older, maybe a little older than Elizabeth. So you've got that on top of it. So you can imagine that they've been praying for a long time for this child. Let me ask you something this morning. Have you ever prayed for a problem or an issue for what seemed to be an eternity? I know a lady who prayed for her husband for over 30 years. She prayed that he would come to know Jesus Christ as his Lord and Savior. And you know what? He did. I know a father who prayed for his son that he would come back to what he knew. And you know what? He's a pastor today. Listen, I know they, just like Zechariah and Elizabeth, they've been praying for so long that they thought God had forgotten them. They thought that God wasn't listening. Maybe he never did. Listen, maybe they thought their prayers weren't making it past the ceiling. Have you ever been here? But it's at this time God says, fear not. I heard you. I want you to know this morning, what I want you to know this morning is that God not only hears our prayers, but listen, he's big enough and he's great enough to answer our prayers. But he answers them in his time. Listen, if Elizabeth and Zechariah had John 1 month earlier or 1 month later, he would not have been able to have done what he did to prepare the way for Jesus Christ. You know, what we have to remember is that God can see the big picture. He can see the beginning, the middle, and the end all at the same time. In other words, we have to remember to fear not and trust that God knows what's best for our life. And I know that's hard for me. But to trust that God knows what's best for our life. Listen, God says, fear not. I hear you. Trust me. I want to dedicate this fear not to a good man, a good husband, a good father, and a great friend, Wayne Grissom. The shirt that I'm wearing, Wayne and Alicia and JC drove out here on my birthday and gave me this. I've got stickers on the back of my truck that Wayne or Alicia found somewhere in their Bigfoot. They know I mess around with that and I love it. And they love me for it, and I loved Wayne. He was one of those friends that it didn't matter what I needed. All I had to do was call. And he knew all he had to do was call me. But he never would let me. One time he let me hook my Dodge to jumper cables from my Dodge to his Ford. He didn't much like it, but he didn't have a choice. But no, he was a good friend. And Wayne, you will be missed. But you know, because we fear not, we don't say goodbye. Today we will only say, see you later. Pray for Alicia and JC, his wife and his daughter, his mother-in-law, Miss Debbie. Pray for his family, his sisters. They're suffering right now, and they're grieving. So y'all pray for them. Do that for me as you start this Friday morning. And listen, as you start this weekend, remember this: fear not.